friends, it's Alessandra from A Sparkly Life for Me. Today I'm sharing with you 7 things you need to know before you get your first ever upside down Christmas tree. I just set up my very first upside down Christmas tree. It's a 7.5 foot Vickerman tree and it's gorgeous. Love it. But there's a lot that I wish I would have known before I got this tree and before I tried setting it up that I didn't, and I couldn't find anywhere in the reviews or online, so here we are. I'm sharing with you what I learned the hard way. So if you're interested in an upside down tree, you're gonna need to stick around for these tips so you know what you're getting yourself into. In the meantime, I got my festive little dinosaur here. Let's get into all of the things you need to know. So I mentioned that I got a 7.5 foot Christmas tree. It's upside down. So the biggest part is at the top and the smallest part is at the bottom. So it's an upside down Christmas tree. But that also means that the further up you go, the heavier it gets and the bulkier it gets. So there's a couple kind of things with that you need to know. Tip number 1, if you're getting anything that big, and truthfully I think there's some 5.5 foot ones, so you're gonna need a second person to help you. It is just too bulky and too heavy to set up by yourself. And listen, I'm all about the team girl power, and normally I set up the regular trees by myself, and I can do that in my sleep. But there was no way on God's green earth that I was picking up the top of this tree by myself. So get a buddy. Safety first. You don't want to go to the hospital in the middle of the holiday season. So tip number 2, leave more room on the ceiling, from the top of the tree to the ceiling, than you think you need. And the reason I say that is because these branches and trees are packed vertically. And the science behind the upside down tree is they pack them this way, and then the gravity pulls them down, so they fall down and create that nice inverted Christmas tree shape. But that means that the nice big branches at the top, the 6 foot diameter, whatever it is, 5 foot diameter, is all vertical. And so if you have a 7.5 foot tree and maybe like a 9 foot ceiling, that is going to be a very tight and nearly impossible fit, and you may or may not risk going to the emergency room. Ask me how I know. So if you hypothetically had maybe an 8 foot ceiling or a 9 foot ceiling and you weren't feeling super confident, I might go with like maybe a 5.5 foot tree, or somebody very, very strong who could open the tree up and slide it over. But that is, again, going back to tip number 1, that is still a 2-person job. Now tip number 3, don't expect the high quality life-like branches that you might see in, a lot of the trees today. And I want to tell you that because I have another tree, obviously, that you have seen many, many times before, and I love it. Got it from Home Depot. It's a beautiful tree. I don't really have to do a lot with it. The branches are naturally textured. These branches on these trees are the traditional kind of faux wiry ones that just kind of have the green branches that are just generic. And I want to tell you that because for me as a designer, that's great, because you know what that means? That means that there's a lot of wire there that we can use to manipulate and secure things together. It means that if I have ribbon, I can easily secure that there. There's a lot of good reasons to have that type of tree. You depending on how you decorate it, you may or may not even notice it, and certainly your guests would probably never know, but you would know. I want to tell people that because the technology has come so far with the artificial trees. If you're used to that, this might be considered a step down in your opinion. But again, it just depends on your personal preference and how you intend to decorate your tree. Tip number 4, this is a statement piece. I don't care if you have it on your dining room table, in the middle of your living room, in the middle of your kitchen. This is a statement piece. They're unusual and unique just in their shape, regardless of how you decided to decorate. Traditionally, something interesting like maybe mine with a little bit less ornaments, more crystals, it's going to get people talking. So what I want you to think about when you're planning this, do you have enough ornaments or supplies to decorate all the way around? Or can you afford to buy them all the way around? Just think about that, because this is one of those things where people are literally able to walk around the whole tree because the top is up here and you have so much room on the floor. So it's literally inviting people in to experience it. So I want to make sure that you've thought about how much you need to decorate this. It's depending on how you decorate. It might be more, it might be less than what you use on your tree now, but just know you can't get away with putting 3/4 of the decorations up and calling it a day because you shoved it in the corner. Because there is no corner, because people can walk underneath it, because it's upside down and it's awesome. Number 5, I noticed with my Vickerman 7.5 foot upside down tree that included lights that it was not as cohesive and consistent of a coverage in the light application as what I would expect from an out of the box artificial Christmas tree that I got at my local, Home Depot, Lowe's, wherever. Some sections were really dense. Some sections were very light. They gave me an extra strand and it wasn't clear where it was going. Even when I got it on, it didn't feel dispersed evenly despite my best efforts. So I would say when you're considering an upside down tree, I would personally plan on budgeting for extra lights just to balance everything out. And this is a great opportunity to use my secret Christmas tree weapon, my soft twinkle lights. I love these. I've been using these on my trees for years. If you're a Disney person like me, okay, and if you're not, bear with me, but this is going to go deep. Think Main Street, right before the castle, the twinkling lights in the trees. You know how slow and relaxing those are, and they're just magical? Yes. Okay, that is what my soft twinkle lights are. And they're not mine, but they're just my secret weapon. I will link to videos that kind of highlight the difference. If you're looking for relaxing, slow, calm, just that gentle, magical vibe, and not like the New Year's Eve pre-party lights that are twinkle lights, you're going to need to check these lights out. I'll have links in the description, but I love these lights, okay? So what you need to know is there's going to be inconsistency on the lighting from the trees. You're going to need to enhance it. You're going to want to add more. You're going to want to make this tree extra magical. Layer in soft twinkle lights. And I will share a whole other video on how I decorated mine specifically, so you can go through that whole process with me and see exactly what I did, how many lights I added, but they are worth every penny. Tip number 6. If you are familiar with using sprays, picks, florals, anything in your tree, don't worry. You're going to be able to get to use those, but probably in a different method than you normally do. So in a traditional Christmas tree setting, you would use picks throughout to fill in the gaps, especially at the bottom, because there tends to be a little bit more room in between the branches, and then you might make a nice arrangement at the top. In this situation, when I set up my upside down Christmas tree, the top portion, because the branches are so big, you really, really need to fill them in with sprays, picks, something, because if the tree is 7.5 feet, you're going to be looking down up into it. So any space of light where you have this nice dark green, but then you probably have, agreeable gray or white or whatever your walls are, you're going to see that because that contrast is so high. So you're going to want to fill in with extra garlands, picks, whatever you want, just to help fill that space in, because ornaments are going to probably not cut through and cover as much space as a pick would, or a nice quality pick, let's put it that way. So tip number 7, your traditional tree skirt, and if you're feeling super trendy and you have a tree collar, those might not work. And I say that they might not work, they almost certainly won't work. The tree base for an upside down tree has to take the weight of all of that height and the weight at the very, very top, funnel it down to a small, narrow spot, and it has a wider base than what we're used to for traditional artificial Christmas trees and even real trees. The base itself is thicker. The metal is thicker to support that extra weight. You're going to have to be a little bit creative, do some Pinteresting, some Googling, and see what alternative way you can finish the Christmas tree base to make it look polished and professional and nice. I will say that the method that I use, probably not my favorite, but in a pinch it worked. So now you know the 7 things that I wish I knew before I got an upside down Christmas tree. Do I regret my decision? Not at all. No, I don't. But I wish I would have known some of this so I could have anticipated some of these challenges that came up throughout the experience a little bit more. That would have been nice. But at the end of the day, the tree is so fun. I haven't had a single person in the house who hasn't been like, oh my gosh, can we stop and talk about this for a minute? I mean, it gets such a wow factor reaction, and it's just so beautiful and different and unique, and I just can't wait to see what else I do with it. I think there is a high probability that just given the sheer minimal footprint that this tree takes up, that I will be decorating this for other seasons. I don't know what I'm doing yet, but I know something is happening. So if you're interested in seeing how I decorated my tree, my take on an upside down Christmas tree, which I might add is minimal ornaments, minimal garland, fluff, things like that, like just enough to be classic and elegant, you're going to want to check the links out, and I'll make sure everything is down in the description as well, so you don't miss that video. It is going to have a lot more detail about exactly what I used, how I layered it, and just tips that I had from decorating it specifically. This video is just to kind of talk about the process and experience of opening that tree out of the box, getting it assembled, and getting ready to decorate it, because there's a little bit of a learning curve. Not a bad thing. If you're even considering this, I can tell that you have visions. You have an idea. You want to do something different and fun. So I'm not worried about you decorating it, but that doesn't mean it wasn't a challenge to get up and running and get to that point where you can have the fun and decorate. So check out that video. It will be live soon. And if you just want to see the cute puppy pictures sleeping under the tree, being adorable, or the Instagram worthy video shots, make sure you check me out on Instagram at A Sparkly Life for Me. I'll be sharing video updates here and there throughout the seasons as I'm decorating and my projects that I'm getting into. And I feel like there's a bright future for this tree. And I'm super stoked. I'm super stoked. All right, friends, my name's Alessandra. Best of luck to you when decorating your upside down tree. And if you have any questions, comments, you want to know some information before you pull the trigger, by all means, I'm a DM away on Instagram. Leave a comment down below and I will get back to you and answer as best as I can. Until then, happy decorating. I wish you all the best. Bye, friends.